What's up, guys? We're the Tepsters. I'm Nico.
And I'm Sandy. Today we wanted to talk to you about some comments that Mark Pedowitz said at the TCA in regards to Mon-El, and he mentioned that he felt like it was the right way to tell the story. We agree with that, and we're going to talk about why we feel Mon-El is a good character and that the story is being told in the right way. So, I think a good place to start is with the fact that this is the first live action Mon-El that there's been, and that's pretty exciting. And obviously the CW made some choices about changing the background a little bit of Mon-El from the comics, and we're not comic book people, but we do know that originally Mon-El was found by Superboy, not Supergirl, so it makes sense that they changed some things about him and made it more friendly to TV, I think.
Mm-hmm. And, they did intend for Mon-El and Kara to butt heads from the beginning, because their planets didn't get along. I mean, Krypton and Daxam, they were in a rival, in a war. There was war going in between their planets, so from the beginning they were meant to butt heads and not get along. This does set up the exploration of how two people with completely different backgrounds can come together to find a common ground. From the first episode, Mon-El wakes up. Kara automatically assumes he's the one trying to kill the president. Would she have thought that if he was from Krypton, like she originally thought? She wouldn't. And we see that Kara admits she was wrong, and that she shouldn't have made that assumption. And this is character growth for Kara. And Kara wasn't perfect. I mean, she's Supergirl, but she's not perfect. So Mon-El is helping Kara to be a better person.
I think that throughout the season, that Mon-El is being used actually to help Kara explain further why she does what she does. Mon-El is constantly asking Kara questions about why she thinks the way she thinks and why she does what she does. And he's trying to understand because he's never viewed the world from that way. He comes from a very different planet who has different morals and values than Kara does and most people do on Earth, but especially Kara, because she is so optimistic and sees the world differently than most people. And he's trying to understand that, and he's trying to understand it because he wants to be a better person. So that gives Kara the opportunity to explain that to the audience of why she does what she was, and she thinks about it, and then she gives her answer. And I think it's good, because Kara's not always right, and she's not always perfect.
Mm-hmm. And there were so many instances where we saw Mon-El is not a selfish or immature person, even from the beginning. Without going into too much detail, we'll name a few things that happened before he showed any signs of having feelings for Kara, since some people think he's only being a hero to be closer to Kara.
Yeah, that's one of the things that have come up often on social media, is that the only reason he's in it is because he wants to get Kara's attention or be close to Kara, and that's not really altogether true.
Mm-hmm. Some of the things is that he agreed to stay at the DEO when he was asked to stay. He didn't have to do that. He's at a strange planet that he knows nothing about, and he agreed to stay at the DEO without them having to make him.
And I think that the next important thing that happened is when he did talk Wynn into taking him out, and they went to that bar, he realized that it wasn't really that he was in danger from others. He realized that it was others that are in danger of him because he doesn't know the strength of his own powers yet.
Mm-hmm.
And he took the responsibility for that, and he took the responsibility for tricking Wynn into going into that bar. And during that same scene, he also made it clear to Kara that the destruction of his planet was not her fault or her parents' fault, because I think Kara does have a lot of guilt about that,
mm-hmm.
Especially after seeing Mon-El there being stranded.
Mm-hmm. Another thing is, he tried to work at Catco because it was what Kara wanted him to do. He was really just trying to fit in, and I mean, he was on a strange world that he knew nothing about, and I think he was just trying to fit in and be unselfish, and he was being a good person.
I was trying to be more human and fit in, yeah, and try to adapt to their way of life. And the Catco incident, that whole episode led to the fact that he he tried to stop the bad guy from shooting Kara with the laser gun at Lena's gala. And that was an important thing because, a selfish person would not step up and try to help, especially because he's not aware of how powerful he is. So he wasn't sure if he was going to survive any kind of laser blast like he did. And then continuing the story of Mon-El, or his journey, as I like to call it, we saw when Kara got hurt by Parasite that he was upset by that, and he really didn't know how to handle those emotions. And it wasn't until Alex kind of said her piece that while she was talking to him, not so friendly and not so kindly, he patiently listened to everything she had to say, and then he admitted to Alex that he didn't know how to be a hero. So here he had somebody basically in his face not being so kind, and instead of responding likewise, he admitted that he doesn't know how to be what they want him to be.
And in that same episode, he showed up to stop Parasite. He even saved the little girl's life, and ended up getting kidnapped by Cadmus because he stopped to help the homeless dude.
Of course, when he got kidnapped by Cadmus, we saw that he did escape, or he was going to escape, and he was almost out the door when they showed up with what he thought was John, and basically threatened John's life if he were to leave. So he stayed. He voluntarily stayed a prisoner to save John's life, and if we think about it, he really didn't know John all that well at that point.
Mm-hmm. He also begged Kara not to solar flare to save his life. And at that point, he had minor feelings for Kara, but he didn't know that he had feelings for Kara. And willing to give up your own life to try to save somebody else, that is a really big step, and I think that was really important in the character development.
Right. And then it was something that I noticed in that episode that I liked about that episode was that he listened to Kara when they were sitting in the different cells next to each other after they took her blood. And even though he was in pain from being shot and he's having this poison go through him, basically killing him, he is still listening to Kara and what she's telling him, and he's trying to still use humor to lighten the mood and to make her feel good. So those are the kind of personality traits that Mon-El has that I like, and I think it shows from the beginning. He was never this terrible person. He just didn't know. He came from a place where the morals and values were so different than the norm here now that, he had a lot of growing to do.
And I think the reason that Mon-El and Kara have such a strong connection is they were both powerless before coming to Earth. They had to learn how to control and use their powers. They both crashed onto Earth after being stuck in space for many years, and they had no idea where they were or what all of this is. And, they have knowledge of other planets and aliens because they're both aliens themselves.
Well, I think they have a lot in common, yeah. Because they both did lose their home planet and their way of life, basically. And although Kara does have Clark, we all know that Clark can't be around that much on Supergirl because she would end up being overshadowed by Superman. So Mon-El was a way of giving Kara that special person that she can relate to, without having that character overshadow her. And even though some people have complained that Mon-El is taken over Supergirl, I completely disagree with that because most of his scenes are with Kara, and he's there to boost Kara's character. And it gave her someone to mentor, which, she's always wanted to do that for Clark, but she couldn't. One of the things that I really like about the character of Mon-El is that it's showing something that doesn't always get shown on TV. And it's showing a character who has overcome his upbringing, his fundamental way of thinking, because it's the only thing he's ever known, because that's the way he was raised, simply because he realizes it's wrong and he wants to be a better person. To watch someone be so inspired by another person as to actually change from within is a powerful story, and it's a beautiful story. Mon-El gives hope to every person that's ever thought about going against the people closest to them, whether it be their parents or siblings or friends that they hang out with. who might not have the best morals and values or are selfish or make bad decisions, but that's what they see. And even though they don't like that behavior, they don't know how to change it for themselves because they feel helpless to get away from it. I think there's a lot of people in the world who get the short end of the stick, either in childhood or just by design, and some can rise above it and some can't. And I think the ones that struggle rising above it can be inspired by a character like Mon-El, because he shows that people can change, and it shows others that they should give them a chance to change and prove themselves.
Another thing that I think is really big is that Mon-El is on the biggest hero's journey that I can remember ever seeing in live action. He's not doing it for revenge. He's not doing it to prove that he can do it. He's not even doing it because he was born to do it. And believe it or not, he's not doing it for Kara. He decided to become a superhero because he wants to make a difference in the world and he wants to help people. We got to see him on his journey every single step of the way, and we can't wait to see what happens to him when he returns in Season 3. We hope that him and Kara will reunite, but whether or not they do, and whether or not they are together, we know we want to see Mon-El stay for the long haul. And we want to see him get his suit because he's earned it.
So, the reasons that we like Mon-El is what he brings to not just Supergirl, but the superhero world itself, with the way that he has changed to become the hero, and he's earned it. And it's not just given to him, and he didn't get it just because he has superpowers, but because he honestly wants to do the right thing. And some of the things that I like the best, besides his personality, which is, to use humor to kind of hide his real feelings a lot, but it adds humor to the show, which I like. And then also because he expresses himself very well. And as he pointed out a couple of times, that he's never felt these kind of emotions, and so he's learning how to deal with emotions as well. And when he tells Kara that doing the right thing is hard, always doing the right thing is hard, that's true. Always doing the right thing is hard for anybody. It's hard every day. We're faced with decisions, and sometimes those decisions, it's easier to do what we want to do instead of what we know is right, but we know that we should do the right thing. It's what guides us. And he has that within now, to be able to do the right thing because he knows it's the right thing instead of choosing the easy way, which I like a lot. So I'm really looking forward to seeing him. So feel free to add comments. If you want to make comments, that's fine. Criticism is fine. Please make intelligent arguments. Don't just call names, and try to keep it civil when you're making comments. And we hope to hear from you.
That's it for today. We're the Tepsters, and we're out.